Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Pemko number 411 APKL automatic door bottom. This is what it looks like. Automatic door bottoms, simply put, are devices that are installed in the bottom of a door, generally. Can't remember if I've seen them installed in other places, windows or whatever, swinging windows. But installed in the bottom of a door that allows the door to seal at the bottom automatically when the door is closed. It's that simple. A lot of people say, oh, how does that work? Doesn't make any sense. Well, it's actually, after it's shown, it's actually very simple. So before we get into that, this Pemko 411 is a Mortise type standard caliber automatic door bottom that is to be mortised to the bottom of a wood door. Okay, the Mortise type is different from other types, which would be surface mount or semi-recess mount. Okay, or the Mortise, the type that's installed in the inverted bottom channel of a steel door, which is very similar to this, but made specifically for that smaller channel. Typical item that you're going to see mortised in the bottom of a door. You see these in hotels all the time. This exact model we see in hotels all the time. Mortising the bottom of the door we'll go over in a moment. Now let's talk about that operation. This end of the automatic door bottom is going to be called the hinge side. It has this device here. We're going to call it the plunger. The other end we will know is different from the hinge side, and we're going to call this the lock side, and we know it because it does not have the plunger. The plunger is always installed on the hinge side, always. Now, you've made your mortise in the bottom of the door, or it's been made for you. Talk more about that in a moment. When this is installed, you can see that you've got screw holes here, and in the bottom of your door, you're going to get it into your mortise, your channel, and you're going to attach it right to the bottom of the door. Now, when this is attached, ignore the fact that the PK, let's go over the rest of the part number. A stands for mill aluminum finish. That's the typical finish for this because you never see it. If the door is closed and you press your head against the floor, you will see a little bit of it, but otherwise you never see it. The PKL stands for the Pemko Prene. It's a Pemko proprietary sort of higher performance seal material. Okay, that's the rest of the part number. Available on the website in several different lengths. We'll go over that as well. This is installed to the bottom of the door. As the door closes, the last few degrees of the door closing, this being on the hinge side, the door is closing. This will eventually come in contact with the frame. As the door is continued to be pushed closed, once this is in contact with the frame, it has nowhere to go but in. And it's that motion of it going in that forces the bottom to drop. Here's what it looks like. Door is closed. My finger is going to just activate the unit, forcing it to drop. Okay. Now, you can see that the door bottom falls down uneven, and that's normal and typical. And here's how it actually works in real life. My thumb here is going to act as the sill. So my thumb is going to limit the door bottom. As soon as it comes out, what happens as soon as it's limited, it comes out on the other side as well. So meaning that this item drops like this and then like this, which is super nice because it allows you to contour to an uneven sill or a door that's not plumb as well. It'll contour itself. It's got about a maximum drop of 7/8 conservatively, maybe 1 inch. It's hard to keep all these door bottoms straight in terms of the drop. We'll find that in a moment when we go over the instructions. 7/8 is a conservative figure. No, forgive me, it's 3/4 inch. Adjustment range is 1/8 to 3/4. So you've got to have, not more than 3/4 inch underneath the door for this. But this is going to stand proud of the bottom of the door a little bit, 1/8 of an inch. So you'll be able to, to get that. Once you get it installed to the bottom of the door, the plunger can be turned clockwise and it will retract into the housing. I've given it a number of turns. You can see it no longer sticks out as far. If I turn it counterclockwise, and this action is pretty universal for all automatic door bottoms, you know, like this. As I turn it counterclockwise, we bring it back out. The amount of projection is directly related to the amount of the drop. Okay, that's the bottom line. When you install this, turn that all the way in. You don't want it sticking out at all. You know, get your Phillips screwdriver, your number 2, get it in there, test it on the door, check for the drop. Turn it out a little bit, check for the drop. Make sure that it seals, but isn't pushing down too hard, because what'll happen is, well, damage is what'll happen. Before we talk about that, here's how this works on the inside. The plunger is connected to a flat spring. It's just a piece of flat metal. The evidence of it is over here. It's pinned over here. You've got this amount of distance to trim this down in the field. Okay? And if you're going to do that, you're going to want to make sure that you get your bottom out and then trim it, because it'll snap back up into its housing. It'll drop and be flush if you cut it when it's in the dropped position. As the plunger is pushed in, that flat spring can only belly, and it bellies like this. It's the bellying action of the flat spring that forces this entire channel to be pushed down. Now, if you've got too much of this turned out, too great a projection, that flat spring is going to really be pushing it down. And as you begin to open the door, if you've got too much, the door will open, but the housing hasn't begun to be retracted back up because the flat spring is still under a lot of tension. So you want to be very conservative with it. Just turn it only how you need. Make sure that it seals, but not too much. You want it to, as soon as you open the door, you want it to start to retract back up, is the bottom line. In terms of lengths, you know, first of all, there is, about the handing, Pemko wants to know the handing of automatic door bottoms. They always do. It does escape me at times why certain models, they need to have the handing. If we order an automatic door bottom without providing the handing, it will delay the order. They will come back to us and say, what's the hand? There's an attribute for handing. Always tell us what the handing is. Always tell us. It just, you know, keeps the order from being delayed. Now, the lengths. This is in the website in several different lengths. It's unlikely that the lengths on the website are going to be exactly what you want, but maybe it is. But if it's not, order the next longest piece, indicate in the comment field what net length you want this to be cut at, and we'll provide it that way. No sense in you cutting it after we're already manufacturing it. All of these parts that make this up, they're in 16-foot lengths, or whatever they're in, 12-foot lengths. They're being cut anyway, so might as well get it the exact size you need. Now, in terms of the size, if I was doing it, if you're going to cut it in the field, it goes without saying that you would never cut the hinge side, the plunger side. You'd never cut that. You're going to want to go no more than 2 inches and stay away from that riveted pin there, that rolled pin, you know, about 2 inch. You might cut them in the field because the job site might be an hour away. Well, that's a 2-hour trip, and you might say, I'll cut them in the field. I know the hands, but I'll cut them in the field. But, in my opinion, it only takes one to screw up with the saw being in the wrong place. Anyway, the mortising of the channel is, first of all, if this is a wood door, a non-rated wood door, you won't really have too much trouble mortising this. If this is a fire-rated wood door, you are, I'm sure, prevented from doing that mortise in the field. It would violate the rating of the fire-rated wood door. Plus, the construction of a wood door, in terms of the components to make a fire-rated door, would not tolerate this much material being removed from the door. So you're going to want to order the doors made for these so that the route comes out exactly how you want. Okay, so provided, now, if you're not going to do that, here's how I've done it, and it works for me every single time. This sort of mortise, there is, and we're going to go over the dimensions in a moment, this sort of mortise, the installation instructions are included. I do not see where they're giving a mortise depth requirement on the instructions. I don't see it anywhere. So the bottom line is this. You got a 9/16 width on the channel. Let's go over that now. And then 1 3/8 deep. 9/16 is going to be measured from the underside here. What did I just say? 1 3/8 is going to be measured from the underside of the flange to the bottom of the channel. Then you've got 9/16 on the width. Yeah. So if it was me, I would be looking to have a little bit of margin, a 1/16 of an inch, your 9/16 width, a little bit of margin in between there. You know, if I could come up with a 5/8 2-flute carbide bit, plunge router, obviously. And if you're going to do, even if you're going to do one of these, I suggest, and if you've got standard carpentry tools, routers, etc., I would suggest a plunge router, or that you have taken a piece of aluminum angle, say 2x2 or 3x3 or whatever, and you bolt that to the bottom of your router base, such that when you take the router, normally like this, and your base is down here, your two hands on the router, okay, and you tip it down like this, and now your router base is over here, that angle, you'll be able to lay on top of the door. You've drilled and prepped that angle such that the center line of your router bit is in the center line of that door. Okay? And you can lay that flat on the door, and you're going to want to be sure that your guide, your aluminum angle or whatever you use, is completely free of any sort of burrs. You don't want to run that over your door and scratch it. You'll want to treat it with wax, some sort of, sand the whole thing down and make sure it's really smooth. And maybe take masking tape and lay it across the face of your door so that you don't scratch your door. Get it down, place there. Get your router bit in 1/8 of an inch and start your route. Okay? Take it off. Plunge router in and continue that process until you get your depth. It's going to make a mess and it's going to be really loud. And a plunge router is typically a higher horse sort of tool. But, doing it any other way, your cut is going to be concealed because you've got these flanges. But the amount of time it takes to set up a situation like that, in my opinion, will be well worth it, even if you're doing one. And if you ever have to do another one, your tool's ready to go because you're going to locate your modified router base with those holes. A couple of wing nuts, that sort of situation, and you're good to go. But always, if you can, order it from the factory already mortised. You can't beat the sort of tools that a door manufacturer is going to have. They're going to be doing this on CNC machinery. And while the lead time will always certainly be longer, ordering doors machined, the quality of the job is superior to anything that can be done in the field. Not anything, but. And there's a warranty on it. If it's not right, it's not your problem, provided you gave them the information. So you'd want to provide a template to the door manufacturer for this item. Also, if you're going to cut the item down or order it cut, keep in mind that a 3-foot wood door is probably 35 and 13/16 or 3/4, and it could have a bevel on it. So while the factory's not going to cut this on a bevel, you'll want to keep that in mind that you might have to file a little bit of it down, because if you measure a door on the big side, the pull side, and the push side, you'll get two different dimensions if it's beveled, 3/16 or so. So you want to take that into account. If it was me, I'd probably split the difference and then file, my channel a little bit, just to get it flush, the ends of the channel, so that I was really in good shape. You won't be able to do anything over here, but it's such a small width that it'll be all but imperceptible. Okay, moving through the rest of the package of hardware that you're going to get. Everything else is pretty elementary. First of all, first item that fell out, this little screw. That little screw, if you have a wood jamb, and you may not, but if you do, attach this wood screw in the jamb, countersink it, so that every time the plunger makes contact, it hits the head of the screw, so that you prevent a divot in your wood frame. That's what this little one is for. You're going to get a package of tiny little trim head, 1/2 inch long, coarse thread drywall screws. They're not drywall screws, but they look like them. That's going to be for this, holding all this in to the bottom of your door. And they're going to be for attaching your end plates, and these are dress plates. You're going to get one with a hole and one without, Okay, you can see what's happening there. Your dress plate after you make your mortise is going to be completely covered and look like this. You have screws in that package for you to get it dressed off really nice. Okay, and then the blank one goes on the other side as well. Again, I see these every time I'm in a hotel. I see these. They want to retard the transmission of sound. They want something long-lasting and durable that's going to last. And I would say that hotel clients want an elegant solution. And here's why it's elegant, as far as I'm concerned. First of all, it's concealed. You never see it. You never even notice it's there. It's also elegant because this is not dragging across your floor at all. It's only sealing when it drops. So this PKL, this Pemko Prene, that can be expected to last a very long time because it's not dragging over carpet, a high gloss terrazzo, granite, wood floor, concrete floor. It's not dragging, and it doesn't create any sort of obstacle when the door is in the open situation. This is what Pemko calls a low closing force model, and it doesn't take very much effort to push this in. I don't know how many pounds, but it's all but small. In my experience, your typical door closers are always, you're not going to have a problem with a door closer overcoming the force required to drop it down. Looking through the rest of the extended description, you know, it's sound seal rated, it's smoke tested, it's fire rated, so you'll be able to use it in your fire rated applications provided you order the doors that way. And then the rest of the description that's there, that is everything that we've really discussed. So Pemko is a full-line manufacturer of all things door bottom related. The different types we discussed earlier, your standard duty, your heavy duty. They've got material that's going to be specifically for standard applications, lead-lined applications, acoustical applications. I'm drawing a blank. I think there's one more category that they get into, but they do a really nice job with it as well. Full-line manufacturer of all things weather stripping related: thresholds, door sweeps, perimeter gasketing, material made of aluminum, architectural bronze, stainless steel, full line of residential weather stripping, and a full line of aluminum continuous geared hinges, amongst other items. So, if you have any questions on the Pemko number 411 APKL automatic mortise type door bottom or any other Pemko item, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you very much.